Hi there, it's Christy with the Chirpy YouTube channel. I hope you're having a fabulous day so far. Mine has been very nice, thank you for asking. Today I would like to talk to you about how to manage behaviors as they happen. What do you actually say when a child is doing something you don't want him to do? How do you manage a student who is behaving poorly in your classroom? And how do you manage a child who is behaving poorly at home? The first thing we have to do is make sure that the rules are clearly specified and that they're clearly taught. One of my regular recommendations is having home rules, classroom rules, whether you're a parent or a teacher, and making sure that kids know what they are by teaching them using visuals. I recommend simple rules, perhaps rules such as keep myself safe, keep other people safe, keep our stuff safe. This pretty much covers all of the behaviors that you might see that you wish you weren't seeing, and it helps kids to remember because it's very simple. You can have pictures of myself, other people, and stuff, and you can point to each of those pictures as you are talking about the rules. And I recommend, especially as you're first instituting these rules, make sure that you repeat them 10 or 20 times a day in all the circumstances, before all the circumstances where you're used to seeing behaviors that don't follow those rules. If your child regularly hits people on the playground, then right before you enter the playground, halfway through the play, and also maybe at the end of the play, might be a good time to reinforce these rules. And by reinforcing them, I mean simply pointing to the pictures, saying the words, having your child point to the pictures and say the words. Not too difficult. Once a child knows what the rules are, we can start redirecting the child when those rules are not being followed. In my class, for example, part of keeping other people safe is using kind words. And when I hear somebody say something that is not kind, I say, oops, remember, we keep other people safe, we use kind words, and we show love. It's not too hard. If a child's climbing on the table, I say, oops, remember, keep myself safe. If a child is throwing a toy across the room into the wall, I say, oops, remember, keep our stuff safe. There's no reason that I have to implement any sort of behavior modification technique like a timeout or that kind of thing at this point. All I'm doing is reinforcing the rules. I don't mention the behavior I don't want. I simply say, oops, remember, we do it this way. Oops, remember, we do it this way. Having a script like that makes it easy for everyone. It's easy for me, I know exactly what to say. It's easy for the child because she knows this rule and it will help her going forward the more times I repeat it. Step number 3, so first I teach the rules, then I say, oops, and I mention, remember, we do it this way. And step 3 is redirect the child to a more appropriate behavior. So with my child who's saying mean words about a peer, I have already taught the rule that that's not okay. And then I say, oops, we use kind words in our classroom. We take care of each other. We keep each other safe. We use kind words. If I know that that child really doesn't like other kids in his space, then I'm going to recommend something else that might decrease the tension for that child. A lot of times tension and anxiety about the situation is the reason why kids show behaviors that we don't want them to show. It's because they don't have a better way of expressing themselves other than these behaviors. If we can teach something more appropriate, then these behaviors are not necessary. If I know that this particular child prefers peers to not be quite so close to him, and that when peers are too close to him, he starts using bad words about them or saying mean things, then I can remind him that's not okay, step 2. And then step 3, I can redirect him to a more appropriate behavior. I might say something like, ooh, it looks like Jennifer's too close. I can say, back up. That might be one strategy. Or I could say, when people are too close, I back up or I go play somewhere else. Or I could say, sometimes other kids in class are too close. It makes me feel angry. I can tell the teacher, I need a time by myself. A lot of times if we know it will prevent some worse behavior coming, we will definitely tell peers to back off and leave that toy or that space to a particular child who really does need it. Step number 4 is that we reinforce. We help the child do the replacement behavior that we recommended. So whether it's telling a peer to back off or whether it's going to play, taking the stuff and going to play somewhere else, whatever we are prompting the child to do, we compliment the child when he does it. So I'm very proud of you, Jake. I'm so proud that you chose to tell Jennifer to back up, or that you didn't want to play right now and she went away and you didn't have to use any bad words. Good job. That is reinforcement. We want to make sure that we compliment children when they're doing appropriate behaviors. Sometimes we pay attention to kids only when they're doing the behaviors we don't really want to see. But it's much better if we can compliment kids on behaviors we do want, because what gets reinforced will get repeated. We are assuming that we have in this process somehow addressed the need that the child was having that she could not express and therefore was demonstrating challenging behavior. If a child just keeps doing the behavior that you just redirected him away from, then our choice is to say, if you do that one more time, this is all finished. So for example, we have kinetic sand in my classroom, and the rule is it has to stay in the box. If kids are picking it up, accidentally some sand will come out because it's inevitable. However, if the kid is purposefully picking up the sand and dribbling it on the table or on the floor or throwing it at someone or pretending to eat it, we might say a couple of times, remember, we keep the sand in the box. If the child looks at us and continues to do sand out of the box, I would say, sand is all finished. I don't let kids continue doing behaviors that are not okay. That activity is finished. If you can't play cars without throwing them at your friends, then cars are finished. If you can't eat snack without smashing up the pieces and putting them on the floor, or without pouring your water on the table, then snack is finished. You just don't let the kids continue doing what they're doing when it's not okay. We need to direct them to some other behavior. And if we can't, then that first activity is finished. So there's my 5-step program for what you do in the moment when there are behaviors that you don't like. Step 1, beforehand we have to teach what the rules actually are. Step 2, say, oops, remember, we do this in our home or in our classroom. Step 3, redirect the child to a different behavior. Say, oops, remember, we use kind words, and if someone's too close, we can move away. Step 4, reinforce the behavior that you do want to see. And step 5, if the child cannot do that activity in a way that is appropriate, then the child cannot do that activity. It is pretty easy process. I know it takes a little bit of time to get used to and to get sort of the phrases in your head, but it really does work. I have a lot of other videos on behavior and behavior management, so take a peek at those if you would like. I'll put a link to my playlist on behavior up above so you can see it if you would like. And I've put some resources down below in the information box too, so take a look down there and enjoy expanding your mind. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!